everybody. Welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie, Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie, Jessica.
So it's that time in the week. This is where we do our 1 minute book recs, where we go over all the books that we read in the past week with 1 minute synopsises for each book. But before we get started with that, what do you want to tell them?
Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We give away free books. And our next stop on our road to 2K giveaway, I keep trying to say 1K,
I know,
is at 1,500. And that's when we're going to give away all of these Cal read books. And you definitely want them. They are amazing.
Yeah. Cal is amazing.
Highly recommend.
Yep. Okay. So tell me about your reading week, Mandy.
I got 7 books in, 2 5 stars.
Okay. I didn't count my 5 stars. I had a few. A few. I read 10 books, but I have 9 to talk about because one was a duet.
Before we move on, I want to just make sure that I posted on our social media, but I wanted to also just say thank you so much for all the birthday wishes. I had a fabulous birthday. I got lots of books and a few other things from my family. So it was a great birthday. So thank you so much. And for those of you who sent me books, that was so nice. I was really surprised by that. So thank you. And if you sent me some books and I did not reach out to you and tell you thank you personally, please let me know, because I have some mysterious books that showed up that nobody knows who sent them to me. They were addressed to me, and they're books from my wish list. So obviously someone intended them for me, but nobody knows who sent them.
I wanted to take credit for him because she called me and she's like, "Thank you so much. You were so sly. You said you didn't get this book from Eclipse Ritual. You said you didn't get it from me." I was sitting there going, "I don't think I did." And then it turns out I didn't, but I got her other ones. But because she just didn't we don't know where they came from. I
got 6 books from somebody, which is super generous. So I just wanted to say thank you. So if you don't want me to know who you are, then that's fine too. So thank you if you're watching this video. But if Amazon somehow messed up and didn't include, there was nothing in the box, which makes me think that maybe Amazon messed up and didn't put the gift certificate, the gift receipt thing in there. Yep. So anyways, I just don't want somebody to be like, "Wow, I sent you books and you didn't say anything." So thank you. And if you want to let me know who you are, please do. I'd love to say thank you.
Okay, are you ready to get started?
I am. You're going first.
I'm going to go a little out of order because there's this doozy of a book that I have to talk about before I can get anything else. Otherwise, I'm going to forget.
All right.
Because I wrote it down somewhere else. So, okay?
Okay, let's roll.
All right, so the first book we're going to talk about is Cage of Ice and Echoes. This is the second book in Pam Godwin's Frozen Fate series. So there's not a lot I can say about this. So this book will be out, I think it's the 26th. I could be wrong. All I know is she finished it on Thursday night, late Thursday night. I got the copies Thursday, or my end Thursday night, the last half of the chapters, and I had to quickly get them back to her because arcs, and it was going to the editor and stuff all on Friday, and the arcs were going out on Friday. So this just continues Frankie's story. She's stuck in the Arctic, and this one, we are definitely, it's more of a survival situation. We're trying to survive the Arctic with the guys, and there are so many answers that we get in this book, but then there's so many questions that we get. We just come up with more questions. I loved it. 5 stars, going down as an all-time favorite. If you have not pre-ordered it, definitely pre-order it. It is shorter than the first book. This one is in the 400-page range. A little bit more than that right now, but I don't know, because the original one was 700, a little over 7, and it got cut down by the time it got to Kindle for everybody. So this one is over 4, but I don't know how much it'll get cut down. So we'll see, but oh my gosh, this series is going down as an all-time favorite at this point.
Goodreads is still showing it's supposed to be out April 23rd.
April 23rd. Okay, I knew it was the 20th something.
Tuesday, so that's probably right.
Yeah,
unless she decides to push it back.
Yeah, she hasn't pushed. She didn't say, she's not pushing back the date for this one, the release date. It's staying the 23rd. She did push back a couple of things with the editor for the next book, which will be out, I want to say it was June is what she's thinking now. I could be wrong. We can ask her when we interview her next weekend for the Pam Godwin interview that'll be out shortly after that.
So, Jessica,
Yeah.
I read Undertow by Elizabeth O'Rourke, and I believe this is one of her first books because it's from 2013.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
can I switch over to you?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to get out.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so this is about Maura and Nate. Maura has been raised in a very like rich family. She goes to like summer with her grandparents, and her grandpa is very down to earth and really understands her. Her grandma and mom are much more concerned about money and making sure that she's going to marry another elite into another elite type family. When she's little, and she's summering there, she befriends Nate, who is one of the help's kids who lives on property there at her grandparents' house. And they become very good friends. And as we see this kind of told through some flashbacks, and as they get older, teenagers, they become more than friends until Nate suddenly just disappears out of her life. And so in the present, we're seeing them finally like reconnecting and kind of filling in some. Oh, you can switch me back over.
Okay.
I think I forgot to set the timer. And uh, oh, I lost my train of thought. So we're seeing them reconnect. So then we kind of have like enemies to lovers type feels once we get to that part of the book. So this was a 4-star read for me. I could definitely tell a difference between this book and her more current books that I've read. I saw where some people really like dogged on this. I still really enjoyed it. And there was actually a character in this book that I actually went and searched to see if she ever got her own book, but she didn't, which made me sad.
Okay. That's too bad.
Okay. Or at least I couldn't find it.
Okay. Okay.
But I enjoyed it.
Good. Good. Okay. So my next read was one that we both read, not necessarily this week, but we've both read it, and it was for our everybody else convincing us to read their favorite books. The video that we did earlier this week. So
Yes. So go check that out.
So this one was The Right Side of Wrong by Prescott Lane. So this is about Paige. She's a mom to a 5-month-old little baby boy. She's doing it all on her own. She's struggle. She's on the struggle bus like many are if you're a young single parent. And she gets a job, or she gets this opportunity to make things a little better for her. So she decides to take that, but things just don't turn out the way she thought. So, and that is where Slade comes in, and Slade he's her boss, right? He's her boss?
No.
What?
Well, he becomes her. So he meets her because she's on a date with her dad, with his
With his
dad.
dad. With his dad.
And
Yes.
they meet. That's how he meets her. And then he basically like, and then he goes to her apartment and realizes what kind of conditions she's living in. And then here's the baby. And so then he decides to take her in and then kind of becomes her boss.
Yeah. See, this is what happens when you read a lot of books in a week. You kind of, they kind of fall out of your head. I give this one 3.5 stars.
Maybe less because you have no idea what happened.
I read a lot of good books this week. This wasn't my favorite. And it was very insta-love, and I didn't really care for that. So
the insta-love was hard because there's just got to be this craft in how you do it. Like if the guy is like, I'm never getting married, I don't want kids, and has all these walls up, for that insta-love to happen, you really have to weave that very carefully and convince us of why this is happening. And then sometimes like you can do an insta-love book, but if you build your character with these walls and everything, then you have to show us how we get over those walls. But if you just start off and the story becomes insta-love, that's different.
Yeah, and that whole thing just threw me off. So I gave it 3.5. I enjoyed it when I was reading it, but obviously I forgot it the minute I finished. I mean, you guys can tell I forgot it the minute I finished. So I'm sorry, I tried. It just wasn't my thing. So
We're
Okay.
also mood readers, so sometimes telling us what to read doesn't go so well.
No, when Mandy tells me to read some books, like you called that one time, even though it turned out not to be the best thing in the end, but you're like,
Yeah.
you have to read this book. I drop everything to read the books you tell me to. And I'm like, man, I don't want to. I'm not in the mood to read a book like that. So, yeah.
All right.
Sucks. Okay, so what else you got?
Okay, my next book is one that we both read for convincing
Okay.
us to read your books.
Okay. So is
this
this the one that
is
I read too?
I just said that.
Oh, that we both. I was thinking your singular one. Sorry, I wasn't paying. I was paying attention, but I wasn't listening, obviously. Okay, so I'll let you talk about it. Hold on.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow.
Bad friend award.
I was listening, but I wasn't paying attention to anything that was coming out of your mouth. I just heard blah, blah, blah. All right.
Okay.
So I read, as well as Jessica, in case she needs another reminder, Fractured Vows by Montana Fire. We weren't 100% sure. I kept trying to say Fry, and Jessica was like, I think it's Fire, but we're not sure. Anyways, I digress. So this is about Isla, right? Is that how we say her name?
Mm-mm.
Isla?
Isla.
She is out clubbing with her friends, and she's kind of just determined to live her own life. And she ends up witnessing something that then kind of spirals into the situation that her life is in danger. And her dad massively panics about this and declares the only way to keep her safe is she must marry her uncle. Now it's her uncle by marriage. So her dad's
Sister.
sister's husband, but the sister was killed and everybody blames him for that. You can switch back, my time's up.
Mm-hmm.
And he decides that's the only one way to keep her safe. So everybody hates him, but yet they decide he's the only reason that she's going to be able to be safe because of his ties and because of his guilt for the whole situation, which never really made sense to me completely. He agrees. And then we have another situation of major insta love, which I think in those situations, like those arranged marriages or forced marriages or whatever we want to call them, you get sometimes that I hate you chemistry. And I didn't really get that. This was more like a, oh my God, I think I love you type chemistry. But it was a little too fast. I think they needed to have a little more hate chemistry to get their relationship going. But that's just
Mm-hmm.
me. Maybe I'm messed up in that.
I agree with that, and I felt that she did a lot of stupid shiznit. I felt she was stupid. She did some stupid stuff.
So that's okay though, because she's young. She was what, like 19, 18, 19. She was in college when this happened. So you do
No,
stupid shit
I
when
thought
you're
she was
young.
20-ish, but still, it doesn't matter. She did
No,
dumb stuff. They don't
hold
have to write
on.
their character so dumb.
Hold on.
Okay.
So it makes sense that at her age, she would do dumb things. I'm pretty sure she's only 19. I think she was still a teenager because I feel like he made comments about having to marry a
Maybe.
teenager.
Again,
That was
I don't
his niece.
remember.
But anyways, what I'm saying is like that is okay. Like that makes sense. That's what like think back to when we were that age. You do dumb stuff.
I
That
do
being a
anything dumb.
given, you can't have a heroine who is acting immature and acting her age and have this huge age gap and expect that guy to fall for her. She has to be more mature for that to work. So you have
Yep.
to decide which way you're going with the story. And there were just too many parts that worked, but they didn't work together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have rated this a 4. Because as
So
we're
I gave it a
talking
three and
about
a
it,
half.
I'm like, I
I
don't
didn't
know.
I didn't feel like it was a 4 at all. I didn't feel like it was a 3 either, because there were several things that I enjoyed about it. But
Yeah.
just overall, it wasn't, there were things that also drove me absolutely bonkers. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I also felt like if I had read the other, there's like another series, and this is a
The,
spinoff of that, that
uh-huh.
some things may have made more sense, but some of the
Mhm.
problems we're talking about still struggle. I kind of still want to go try that other series though.
Oh yeah. I want to read
along with the 700 other books on my team.
I know. This is the second book in the spin-off series too. So I felt like if I read the first one, I might maybe understand it a little bit more.
Which is confusing because it's not on Goodreads that way. When you go to Goodreads, it doesn't say that it's part of a series. I actually had to search and figure this out.
My Kindle series did them together.
Oh, okay.
Because I already have the first book that I just haven't read yet. And I want to go back and read that first book. And it could have been our mood because we had to read it. So, like this week, because we put it off for so long.
All right. So here we once again prove that we will talk more about books we don't like than the books we do like.
And it's not that we didn't like this one. It's just that there were things that was fun. Yeah. So, okay, so that was one of my books too. So, let's talk about that one. All right. Are we ready?
Oh my gosh.
I just didn't know what to talk about because you already talked about it. Okay. So the next book that I went and read is one by Liz Hamilton. And this one, I'm probably going to go over my minute just because it's really hard to explain this world, but we're going to try it in a minute. So let's see if we can do this. So I read Twisted Fate. Now this is a duet. So there's Twisted Fate. And then the second book, which I don't have on me right now, is Twin Flame. So this is set in a dystopian future type world where because of science and some kind of a vaccine that happened, we now have fated mates. Now the chance of you finding your fated mate are like 1 in a billion type situation. There's only a handful of fated mates who have found each other. But when you find your fated mate, it's through touch. So in this world now, you have people walk around like with short sleeve shirts on, and you expect everybody you pass on the street to touch you. It's just part of it. You go into a police department for whatever reason, or there's a part where he goes into the hospital here. And before he can leave the hospital, every nurse has to come through and touch him because it's policy. When you find your fated mate, your age kind of regresses a little bit. Things heal in your body if you have injuries or illnesses, and you live longer. So you don't live forever, but you're going to live more like 500 years versus 70, 80. And so that is where we have Emery. So she is our heroine. Emery comes in and she has chosen to be a settler. So you have a searcher and settler. Searchers are looking for their fated mate. Settlers have settled down and gotten married. And she was in a situation where a bad situation when she was young, because the government wants to figure out how to get fated mates. Some parents kind of like sold their kids or gave their kids into this testing facility where she was kept as a prisoner for 2 years, and she was rescued from Sebastian. He's part of a government thing. And they fell in love, and because she'd been there for over 2 years. So like it was a bad situation. So years later they got married, and she is happily in love with Sebastian. They have chosen each other. They don't even look for their fated mates at all. And then one day an accident happens and she touches a guy who is Leo. No, Tobias. Ooh, I don't know where Leo came from. Tobias. That was from Pam Godwin's book. That was from Pam Godwin's book. That was Pam's book. No, she touches Tobias, and that is her mate, or that is her fated mate. So if they're separated, they start to die. Like bad things happen when they're separated. They have to be together. So what happens when you are absolutely head over heels in love with your husband, but you have to be with this other person because consequences, and you feel like a desire to be with them, but you're so conflicted. So this is a duet. It is not a love triangle. It is it's so different from anything I've ever read before. I gave it 5 stars. I love Liz's writing. She's the one that wrote the Third Storm trilogy that I read last year and loved. I loved this so much. It was just so different. And it was very angsty and just heart-wrenching at times, and just you could just feel the love that she had, for her husband, and it was good. It was so good. And then you have like the questions of, if you have a kid with your fated mate and they don't find their fated mate because it's so hard to find your fated mate, right? Your kids will die before you. Like how, just weird things like that you don't even think about. I've got a hair on my nose. Anyhow, it was good. It was so good.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Jessica,
Yeah.
I read a historical romance that has a brothel.
Ooh, did it have Jesus too?
No, but this
Okay.
is the second one. Is this like a thing? Like I could be finding more books like this with the brothels because I'm fascinated by it.
I love mail order bride, but it's really hard to find a good mail order bride. If you guys know of a good mail order bride, I'll take that one. I'll take that rec. So, okay, you want to tell me about yours?
Yes. So I read Destiny's Surrender by Beverly Jenkins, and this is about Billy, and she's a working girl. And Drew comes to visit her quite often, and obviously they have sex. But he also treats her really well, and like he'll take her to go do things and he'll buy her nice things and stuff like that. And we're going to fast forward a little bit. And Drew has decided that he has to settle down. He's a lawyer and it's time for him to settle down and marry someone. So he is getting engaged to this person, this other woman, and on their engagement party, Billy shows up. Oh, I forgot to set the timer again, Jessica.
Amanda.
Well, I think I'm clicking it, but it's not setting for some reason. Billy shows up with a baby and says, "This is your son."
Oh.
Yes.
Like this takes place like in the Old West where there's like no paternity tests.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, dang. Okay. I think I might need to read that. What'd you give it?
It was a solid 4 stars for me.
Okay. Okay.
The one thing I think it could have maybe been a 5. The ending just wrapped up a little too fast for me, and I felt like there was some stuff that could have, you know, not
Yeah.
necessarily drawn it out in a bad way, but just a little bit more at the end.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it was really good. I will definitely be reading more by this author, by Beverly Jenkins.
Okay. All right. Okay. So my next book was a little bit of a flop for me, and I really wanted it to be a go, but it just
Do you ever go into a book not wanting it to be a good book?
well, I mean, no. Okay, so let's talk about this. So this is Problem Child by Sam Hall. This is my second Sam Hall book, and I really get bored in hers. Like both of these books, they start out good, and then I'm just like, wah, wah. So, but yeah, this is kind of an Omegaverse situation. But this is about Lily and Ben. So Lily and Ben meet at Lily's in college with her friend. This takes place in Australia. And they meet, she meets Ben one night when her friend takes her out partying. And Ben says he's in town for just a short period of time. And so then they just kind of go off and do the thing at the beach. They hang out at the beach and then they go do the thing. And then we fast forward 9 years later. Now here's the deal. She's a beta. She knows about wolves. This is the second in a series, so maybe I should have read the first. I don't know. But she knows that there's a wolf pack situation. She knows he's an alpha. When they have sex, she can take his knot, which is not a normal thing for a beta, apparently, in this world. And so, which in most Omegaverse worlds.
Time.
And so then just need to switch me back. Remember?
That's right.
Anyhow, so I don't lose my spot. Anyhow, so we fast forward 9 years. I think it's 9 years later, and she has a baby, a little girl, because she got pregnant that night, even though it's supposedly impossible. This little girl has anger issues because the little girl is an alpha, which is rare for girls to be an alpha. And then dad comes back into town with this pack, and it's a thing. It's like a whole thing. Like the premise, it sounded good. It did. I just got so bored. I was so done. I lost track of who was who in the harem. And when you can't, you have to make connections when you're writing a reverse harem. You have to make sure that the heroine has a connection with all the guys and that the guys are talked about enough that you establish who they are. You can't just tell me this one has red hair, this one has brown hair, that one has blonde hair, and expect me to be able to differentiate between the three different guys just because one time you told me this one has this color hair. You have to make that connection. And that is, I think, where she lacks in the 2 books that I've read of hers. There is no connection. So it's got to be hard, but can't do it. Shouldn't be writing it.
Okay.
Oops.
All right.
I don't want to be mean. It's just, it is what it is. If you can't, I get so bored with her books. Okay.
On that note, I don't know how to say this next author's name. So you probably do because I've seen her name around a lot. Is it Mariana Zapata?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You
Look
ready to
at
talk
me
about it?
mastering phonemic awareness.
Look at you go.
Okay. So I read The Best Thing by Mariana Zapata. And this is about Lenny and Jonah. So this is a book where the blurb is extremely vague and the author purposely did this so you go in blind. So I'm going to say that Lenny has moved on and is good to go with where her life is at. She's happy. But as the blurb says, nobody told Jonah this. And so Jonah shows back up and doesn't understand why Lenny is not slightly more excited to see him, but he is determined to get to the bottom of what is going on. So you can switch me back.
Okay. Oops.
That's all I'm going to say. I rated it 4 stars. Just an FYI, it is a slow burn. And apparently she is really well known for her slow burns.
If you've ever read any Mariana Zapata, you know this, that like it's the last 10% of the book before things ever happen. She's an extreme slow burn writer. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have Colty. She wrote Colty.
Mm-hmm.
I started that and I got, a third of the way in. And I wasn't not liking it, but I was like, this book is not picking up pace. And then I needed to read something else, I think, for like a convincing or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just never went back to it.
Yeah.
But I heard it's really good.
I read From Lukov with Love. I loved that one. It's the ice skating one. Even though it was slow burn, I still loved it. And I've read the football one that she has.
Oh, The Wall of Winnipeg.
Yeah, and me. Wall of Winnipeg, me. And I liked it. But I knew going in they were going to be slow burns.
Yeah.
I also listened to them, and maybe that made a difference.
And not only are they a slow burn, but the one like Colty and this one, they're big books.
They're all big books, yeah.
So it's not like it's a slow burn and like, okay, well, I just have to get through a couple hundred pages and the action happens. So
Yeah.
it's more than that.
No. And there's sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Because like in Hills of Shivers and Shadows by Pam Godwin, that first book is a slow burn, but there's so much happening. And there's so much building, like relationship building and world building and things that you don't realize how long it is, how far into the book you are.
Yeah.
So and that's
the best thing I did realize.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay.
Okay. Next.
Okay. So my next book is what I read for our recent convincing that came out on Saturday. I'm going to talk about it, but you guys can go watch that if you really want to see. This was Reverse Age Gap. It was a lot of fun. So let's talk about the book that I chose. So I chose The Wild One by Daisy Jane. This is about Beck and Bo. So Beck is a single mom. She has an 8-month-old little baby Jet who is adorable. And she's moved back home or back to her hometown. She's down the road from her parents. She's gone through a divorce. The baby daddy don't want anything to do with the baby. So he's, horrible person. But her AC goes out in her car and she needs to get it fixed. So that's where she meets Bo. Now, Bo has lost his dad the year prior and he has just been on a bender ever since. And he is at the mechanic shop and he is so hungover when she comes in. And she comes in and he's just trying to get like his ducks in a row, like trying to keep himself from puking all over the place. And she's telling him what's going on. She's whatever, like getting into it. And he tells her to be quiet and then to calm down when she gets a little upset about the fact that he told her to be quiet. Then he goes and hurls into the garbage can and runs off. That is their meet cute. It is the best meet cute ever. I laughed so hard. I loved this book. I love that Bo was willing to, because she's like an Uber driver, but they call it something else. And even though he has his own vehicles, he's willing to pay for that every day just to get to see her. And not only her, but Jet. And he honestly falls in love with her son. And I loved that I love that. I didn't even feel the age gap at all. I knew that she was older. There's like a 10-year age gap, 10 or 11 years between them. He's like 26 and she's like 38 or 37 or something like that. Loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars. So definitely pick this one up. I want to read the rest of the series. This is the first one in
really
her.
Good. I just laughed so hard. I think I called and told you about it.
You did. I think you did.
So
I'm like, what kind of psychopath tells a woman to calm down? I think it's pretty well known by men nowadays that you do not tell a woman to calm down.
Well, his friends were like, what?
Yeah, I know. What did you do? What are you doing? It was awesome. I loved it. It was great. It was great.
The best part, though, is you're getting it from his point of view, so you understand, like, he just needs her to be quiet because his head is pounding, he's about to puke, and so it's not like he's telling her, like, he's not trying to be disrespectful.
No.
He's just like, I just need her to be quiet for a second so I can
just need everything to stop.
Yes.
Is basically what it is.
Yeah. And then she's like, what? To be quiet? He's like, no, just calm down. Like, he just keeps making it worse.
And there's a side character.
Funny.
And I said this in our convincing video, but there is a side character who works at the shop that I'm really intrigued by. Her book is the 3rd one in the series, but she listens to romance on audio 24/7. And like, I can relate.
Someone else we know.
Like, I can relate. And I'm just so, can't get comfortable. I'm just so ready. I want to go read her book.
I saw somebody left a comment about how reverse age gap like just doesn't work for them because they're moms. Some of the age gap ones, yes, the girl is or the guy is like close to teenage. Like there's a couple of them like that. But in this one, he's in his 20s, she's in her late 30s, and you would think, oh, well, age gap's not going to play into it at all. But it does, because for her, she's like this old married woman and her husband didn't want her. And so she has some, I wouldn't say she dwells on her self-esteem issues, but she's like, you're still in your 20s. You don't want to be stuck with me and this kid. Like, and so I felt like it played a huge role in this story. But so if you're one of those people who are like, ooh, reverse age gap isn't going to be for me because of those types of feelings, this one, you wouldn't have like the reverse age gap problematic part of this plot has nothing to do with that.
Yeah. And I think that only came up, like, if I remember right, 3 times. I listened to the audio and I can't remember who did the audio. It was one of the guys that I like to listen to. And he just sounds older anyway. And maybe that's why my brain didn't connect the older or the him being younger situation. Cause he doesn't sound like a 20-year-old guy who the audio. So, but the audio worked. So
yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that in for somebody who's like, oh, I don't know if reverse age gap would be for me. This one doesn't have those types of feels.
Because I'll be the first one to tell you that reverse age gap doesn't typically work for me either. I don't go looking for that. That's not something I want to read typically.
I normally don't either, but I've been enjoying the ones I've stumbled upon lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about another convincing us to read your book. So I read Archer by Dr. Rebecca Sharp. This is shockingly about Archer. And he is assigned to protect 19-year-old Kira. Kira's dad was involved in the mob, and now he's trying to keep his daughter safe. So he is testifying against the mob. So they're back in town, and she has to stay in this hotel room, and he's guarding her. She's only 19, he's 29, and somehow there's some feelings. I love age gap. Everybody knows that if you've watched our channel for more than a few minutes. But I struggled a little bit with their connection at the beginning of the book. I'm just going to throw that out there. I need a good connection. So we fast forward several years later, and the two of them end up meeting again, and she's in danger, and he is going to do everything he can to protect her. So you can switch back.
Okay.
That's the story. I rated it a 4. I thought I would like it a lot more than I did. It was still a solid 4 for me. I just struggled a little bit. Like, I needed her maybe to be a little bit older, and then maybe it wouldn't have bothered me. But I'm like, she's 19. Her father's trying to protect her. Like, it was just a little odd to me that 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 connection happened. And again, I love those types of things, but you have to I have to feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. But now you've read it and it's off your shelf.
Well, I mean, it's gonna
go back
still
on your
be
shelf.
on my shelf.
Okay.
I don't
All
get
right,
rid
you
of
can keep
books
it.
like you do. They are my trophies, my prizes in life.
If they're not 5 stars, why am I keeping them?
Because I love books. And I'm
Okay.
turning this room into a library. And very soon I am going to have a floor to ceiling bookshelf with ladder.
Okay. And I'll come play on your ladder. Because I won't get one of those anytime. Ever. Because my ceilings aren't high enough.
Well, see, this room has vaulted ceilings, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
I just have to get some people motivated
to build them. Again, I just say I show up there with some wood, a hammer, and nails.
We just start making drilling sounds in here.
It won't be long before it comes running in. I want floor to ceiling bookshelves. Hey, floor to ceiling bookshelves?
It's pretty close.
Will you build some for me?
Sure.
Today?
No.
Oh. Can I have a ladder?
Yeah. There's one out in the garage.
You're gonna put wheels on your metal ladder, Jessica?
Apparently, that's the only way I'm gonna get a ladder and floor to ceiling bookshelf. Okay, so let's move on to my next book. Real quick, is your Kate Rivenhle book after this one?
Yeah, it's my next one.
Perfect. Okay, because this is my Kate Rivenhle book, and then we'll talk in between about, or after, or whatever, about where to find her books. Because something happened with Kate this week. So let's talk about the book real quick. So this is her new release. It actually came out this week. It is a novella. It's just under 200 pages. It is called The Parolee. And again, this is taboo, just like the one that Mandy's going to talk about next. So this is about Leisha. And when you guys read the book, you're going to be like, what is this name? Because it's spelled Laoise. It is Irish Gaelic for Leisha, but her brother calls her Lily. So there is a nickname. And I did reach out to Kate and be like, how do you say this? So, because it's not, it's not something you see every day. But anyhow, her brother's been in prison for 10 years. And now he's out on parole. She has gotten engaged. She is a baker. She has a little shop. She's just living her best life. And here comes the brother. And he is over the top, possessive, crazy, will hurt anybody or kill anybody who touches her the wrong way, cannot stand the fiance, and things go from there. And I'm just going to exit this because if you guys can't put two and two together, it's a relationship between brother and sister. They are from the mountains, he refers to it as. So, it is over the top. It is crazy. I gave it 4 stars. I really love the one that Mandy's going to talk about because I think because of the whole cult aspect that just added something to it. This one was great too. So, it's a little concerning how much I like it, but it's okay.
Okay. So, in a shocking twist, her books are no longer on Amazon. They've been banned, which is a whole nother rant. So she has now put them on Eden Books. So Eden Books is a great place to go for banned books. Kay Webster uses Eden Books a lot. B. Sobjankin uses Eden Books. So good place to go to look for those banned books. There's also some really insane stuff on there too.
Yep.
I was perusing and I'm like, oh, do I want to order anything else? I'm like, nope. So you can find her books on Eden Books, Smashwords, Kobo Plus, and Etsy.
Yeah, she has an Etsy shop. You can get the direct download from her there. And eventually she mentioned having special edition copies as well. I'm looking for those, but yesterday it was just on her Etsy shop, it was just the download for The Parolee and Eclipse Ritual. But I called it. I told you when I read Eclipse Ritual that I downloaded and purchased it immediately because somebody had said they will be banned more than likely, and they got banned. So, yeah.
Well, a while ago, someone else got banned. Well, the person actually, I think, took their own books down because of just harassment on TikTok, which led me to panic buying the entire Deliver series because
Yeah.
I did not want to end up with that going away and then me being left on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So I'm like, are they
Which
just going
you're not
after
talking about.
anything dark?
Yeah.
Like,
And
what?
I know, and it wasn't Pam
It's
Godwin that
frustrating.
that took
No,
them.
no.
But
I just panic bought them because it seemed
they're done.
like there's a lot of,
Attacking.
yeah, on TikTok of anything that is not like extreme mainstream contemporary.
Yeah.
So if it's taboo or dark, people are attacking it. And a lot of times their information is so wrong about the book, which is really incredibly frustrating.
Yep.
But here's an idea. If you don't want to read it,
Don't.
move on.
I just don't get it. I don't understand
Shocking.
what is all this like
Shocking.
attacking authors and you haven't even read the book. Bull crap. I don't even get it. But it's like Kay Webster, you know, the reason why she started writing what she does is because this is what she was looking for. And she realized that there was a group that were looking for it. And so she couldn't get it anywhere. So she decided to write it on her own. And then that's how we got the amazing Kay Webster. And there is a niche out there. There is a group looking for that.
Just don't understand the whole like let's get books banned.
Or
And we
let's
need,
give a book 1 star that we haven't read because we heard there's a certain trope in the book that we don't like, or there's something that happens in the book that we don't think should happen. It's not your book. Don't read it. If you have a problem with it, move on.
Yes.
So, yeah, I just can't. We'll end up on a rant and then we're going to be.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about this book.
Yes,
First,
let's do that.
Jessica usually hates cartoon covers, and she showed me this, and I'm like, this is a good cover, but it doesn't feel cartoonish.
Yeah, the Pearly is the same kind of idea. Like you can, I guess I'll show you here real quick, but you would have put it on for them. Like here's the Pearly. I mean, it's a cute cover. They're cute covers. For cartoon covers, they're really nice. I like it.
I feel like this is more of a graphic cover than a cartoon cover.
Yeah. So, okay, ready to talk about it?
Because they actually look like people.
They do look like people.
Yes, I am ready to talk about it. So this is Eclipse Ritual. We'll just start that over. So this is Eclipse Ritual by Katie Rivenhle. And this is about obedience. That's her name. And she has been raised in a cult. In this cult, basically the men have all the power and the women are to respect the men, and the men can discipline their women, their wives, however they see fit, that sort of thing. And so this community is a little messy, let's put it that way. And on the eclipse, which was funny because I was actually reading this when the eclipse happened here, they have a ritual that they do. I'm going to do this a little more spoiler free. So I'm just going to say that on the ritual, men climb for these women, and if they're the last one standing, then they basically fornicate with the woman blindfolded, so they don't know who is claiming them as their husband. And oops, that's my time. And so this is dark, it's very taboo, it has the cult. So
when we were in high school, you loved
it.
The word fornicate. Remember that?
Yes, I did a high school English report on a book about a girl that got pregnant in high school, and I used the word fornicate.
And then she used it all the time.
But that was when I went to a different high school.
But you brought it to my high school.
It's a nice word, fornicate. Okay. Sounds so much more classier. Anyways,
boned.
Loved this book. And thank you to whoever got it off my Amazon wish list. This was part of the mystery book pack.
Yep. Okay, yeah, I love that too.
That they snagged it for me before it went away.
How many stars did you give that?
Oh, 5. Sorry.
Yeah. I was 5 stars.
I ended my week really good.
Yeah. Is that your last one?
Nope, I have one more.
Okay, good. Okay. All right, so let's talk about my next one. This one is a Misty Walker, one of her books in her MC series. I like Misty Walker. We met her in Vegas. We'll meet her again this year If you like MC, definitely check out her MCs. And I need to go to me, not to you. Okay, so this is Riley's Biker, and again by Misty Walker. Oh, I actually have it. I don't know what I'm doing, not holding it up. Here it is, Riley's Biker by Misty Walker. So this is I can't remember if this is the third or the fourth. This is the fourth book in her Royal Bastards MC series, Reno. So this is about Coyote, and he is a nomad, and so he kind of goes, he belongs to the Royal Bastards, but he's a nomad, so he goes from chapter to chapter. And 5 years before the book really gets going, he has a one night stand with a girl that he sees. She's crying by a fence, and he's, after a party at the clubhouse, and he's like, what's up with that? And so they end up having a one night stand, and she steals his cut. And if you've ever read an MC, you know that is a huge no-no. So he wakes up the next morning, he cannot find his cut. So he has been looking for her for 5 years. And then the book really gets
Holy
going.
crap, that's dedication.
What that is dedicated. Well, you can't get another cut. You can't. That is your one and only. And so he has to have that. So we cut to 5 years later. She's come back to Reno, and she's got his 4-year-old daughter in tow. He doesn't know that she's back because he's just coming back to Reno, still looking for her. He gets a hot tip that she might be there. And instead of like walking up to her door and being like, hey, where's my cut? He decides to stalk her. And then he finds out about his daughter, and he continues to, he pitches a tent on her property and hides out and watches her. And when she sleeps at night, he goes into her home and steals her panties. He does that before she's before she goes to bed. Steals her vibrator. Yeah, he does some stuff. But her dad belonged to a rival MC, so there's some clashing there. And
is that why she took the cut?
No, she took the cut because she knew what it would mean to him, and she just wanted something to remember him by, because he took her virginity.
Okay.
Yeah. So I gave it was a solid 4 stars. Loved it. It was good. It was great. All right, next.
Okay, my next book is Older by Jennifer Hartmann.
Okay.
I've been so excited about this book. This is about Hallie, like the comet. And she has, I can't even begin to describe how horrific her childhood has been. And one day she is at the lake and she meets this guy. And I don't want to give anything away about what happens there, but we'll fast forward just a little bit later. And her best friend, Tara, ends up taking her in because of the horrific abuse that she's suffering at home. And her best friend's dad has lived somewhere else for the past year and has recently moved back. And he comes over one night for dinner. And it turns out that it is Reed, the guy that she met at the lake. So, best friend's dad. Best friend has offered her somewhere to live away from her horrific, abusive life. So things are about to get extremely complicated here. And this is when we start our slow burn, very emotional ride. I absolutely love this book. I cried so much, to the point that I had to get tissue so I could see the book again. I absolutely loved this. Loved it. Solid 5 stars, and I'm sure you will see this on my April wrap up for one of the top books of the month. And you'll probably see it at the end of the year too, because this book was so good. I loved it.
Okay.
Loved it.
Got it. Okay.
And for anyone wondering, the age of consent is discussed in this book. She is of age. So yes, it's still taboo, but there's nothing criminal happening.
Okie dokie.
Loved it.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. All right. So then for our last book, I read a historical. We do have our buddy read coming out, which is a Stacy Reed book, but I like Stacy Reed, so I jumped into a different Stacy Reed book this week. So, oops, but I gotta hit the solo. Okay. So that is Accidentally Compromising the Duke by Stacey Reed. This is the first book in her Wedded by Scandal series. So this is about Adeline, or Adele. They call her Adele. Lady Adele. And her dad's kind of forcing her to marry somebody she doesn't want to. She's out in the town, or town, and she's they're going to balls and all this other stuff, and this guy is harassing her, and she knows her dad's going to force her hand and make her marry him. So she decides that instead of doing that, she's going to compromise her virtue, or compromise herself, and create a scandal with a friend of hers where the friend will have to marry her. And so she goes to sneak into his room, and so that she can get caught. She's got a friend that's going to have like one of the parents come and catch them just kind of hanging out in the bedroom together, which is enough to make them forcibly married. And she realizes after a few minutes that the guy in the bed, because it's all dark, is not the friend. It is not who she thought it was. It is Duke Edmund, who has come to town to look for a wife. His first wife has died, and he has 2 young girls at home, and he needs a wife. But he doesn't, so she's forced to marry him. The thing is he lost his wife during childbirth, so he doesn't want to have sex with his wife. He doesn't want to create life. He doesn't want to have any more kids because he's afraid he could lose his wife. But, Adele's pretty awesome, and he starts to fall for her pretty fast. So I gave it a solid 4 stars. I really liked it. It was good. I like Stacey Reed.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay, guys. So that's it. That's it for our week.
Wonderful. All right. Do yourself a favor and go read Older by Jennifer Hartmann. Go check out Katie Rivenhle over on those other platforms. Make sure you leave us a comment. What'd you read this week? What are you looking forward to reading? There's some books that are coming out next week there's a book that's coming out next week that I am so excited about. Actually, scratch that. It is coming out the day you are watching this. So I'm very excited about that. So what are you reading? What are you excited to read about? And, leave us those comments, and make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.